All right.
Congratulations, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was, very, very cool.
I love it.
Cool.
Well, Leonard, I assume you don't have an electric guitar with you on site.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Something's happening.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Something's happening here.
I love it. Wow.
Something's happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with
You have to turn off that noise right now.
That's a great way to start the show there. I like that. You know, remind everybody this is a boomer tech show.
Exactly.
I'll be representing you, by the way.
Right.
Today.
That's right. Outstanding. Beautiful shirt. Love that. Well done on the basketball, man. That's great.
Yeah, it was a tough 20 teams. You know, we had 2 games a day, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, yesterday, and got to the bronze medal game. We got our butts kicked by the top teams.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I was shocked we got out of there with a bronze, but I'll take it.
You just didn't expect the other team to have Shaq playing for him.
Well, I mean, yeah, our front line
senior.
is we're 6'7", 6'6", 6'5", and then me. So I mean, it's a pretty tall team, but man, these guys were athletic. But oh well.
You got to keep playing. That's the name of the game, dude. I love it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's the only thing I'm good at.
That's good. You got
where's like Leonard this week?
Excuse me.
what was that?
What day?
I said, where's Leonard this week?
Oh, I'm in your city, dude. Or no, what used to be your city, San Francisco.
That's what I'm asking. Like the second I leave, you start going to shows there every other week. I mean, what's up with that, man?
I know, it's kind of ridiculous, right? Yeah, I'm at SEMICON West, which is the big, semiconductor industry show, and with all the build out happening with fabs, this convention is all about, vendors and folks that are going to help supply the build out of these fabs. And then right across the street, there is what's called a Design Automation Conference, which just celebrated its 60th birthday. So for all of those of you who think that chips are new, they've been around for a long time, and all the equipment and the tech that goes into actually designing and fabbing. I mean, it's just an incredible industry, right? So much complexity, so much stuff that goes into it. And it's all here this week in San Francisco.
Wow.
Big conference, 25,000 people, which kind of surprised me because I didn't think that there are that many people in the industry. You know what I'm saying? But man, the learning is incredible.
There's probably a bunch of startup founders there searching for GPUs laying around. I heard it's slim pickings finding some spare GPUs these days.
Yeah, they're trying to steal them from the exhibitions, Like anybody has an extra or a stray GPU laying around in a display, they're going to try to take it.
Exactly.
But yeah, this is I came here thinking, okay, all this stuff is going to be way over my head, but I'm actually having some really good discussions here. Lots of talk about where chip architectures are going, what's influencing it, both from a market perspective, but also like technologically. What are those advancements that are, shaping the way that designers and manufacturers are collectively evolving chip architectures? And so, I mean, this is like all the way down. I mean, most of this stuff, man, goes way over my head because you have to be like a PhD in electrical engineering to really grasp everything. But, some guy, I tried to explain what I do, and he goes, wow. And he goes, why do you do what you do? It's like, I'm curious. And he goes, well, curiosity killed the cat. And I said, well, not really. Curiosity made the cat more experienced, more knowledgeable, And you might have one life, but the cat has 9.
Well, there you go.
I'm sure curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought him back.
There you go.
You know, I mean, personally, I woke up and I chose balance. I would have punched the guy in the mouth.
Yeah.
No. He was a cool guy. He's just
okay.
He's never encountered anybody who just covers as much stuff as I do, looks into as many things that I do to the degree that I do. So that was his comment, and it's just something that rolled out of his mouth as a joke, but that was my comeback. And
Leonard, have you noticed? And I've only been to like 2 semiconductor conferences ever, so I don't have the data set. But are there any construction companies showing up? And the reason I ask is because yes, there's all this, like someone's got to build the shell.
Friggin' IoT. Like one of the halls, it's all IoT, dude. It's like going to an IoT convention. It's all like smart building, sensing. I mean, people I have to realize how much stuff goes into a fab, like sensors, connectivity. I mean, they're using BACnet, Modbus, all the stuff that we talk about. It's in a fab, and think about all the equipment that has to be connected. The facilities themselves are. People might have heard clean rooms. I mean, the entire fab has to be clean, right? And so think about all the technologies, the sensors, the safety factors, like, gas leaks are one of the big challenges or risks in a fab. And they use a lot of toxic substances, dangerous substances. And so being able to detect those, it's just like in the oil and gas industry, right? Where you have to have those types of detectors and such to ensure safety on rigs. You're seeing something at probably the nth degree in a fab, and for a lot of other purposes, like even in supporting the process. So there's a lot of tech that goes into a fab, and it's a lot of it's here.
That's great. So is applied. So when you post the 800-pound gorilla there?
No, Lam Research. I thought, but they're one of the diamond or platinum sponsors. But Lam Research, see right over there, Lam Research. And Tim Archer, who's the CEO, gave a really cool presentation yesterday. I mean, usually keynotes, I'm like, oh my God, here we go again. But he actually gave a really good one, and he probably presented the most compelling case for digital twin I've heard it almost ever. I mean, and these guys are this industry is the one that could really, really benefit from it, and probably has the dinero and funding now from the government to actually use it to any degree of value and comprehensiveness, right? So, Bill, I mean, you always bring up how difficult it is to implement a digital, a good digital twin, and the data aspect of it. These guys, they have a lot of data. They have the capital to spend to build out these, digital support systems, if you will, to automate processes and also help in monitoring. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that these guys are doing, and so it's kind of cool to come here and start connecting dots. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I think
that's the coolest part. That's the coolest part about what you do, though. I think you extend well above and beyond any one of us here right now with respect to actually being out there and literally engaging in that space. So I think that's cool. And what if I just take a note from what you're saying there, this whole talk about, again, taglines and industrial revolution and all of these other things, this stuff has been going on consistently, regularly, and for an awful long time as far as the silicon industry goes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and it's like oil and gas. People think, it's all about dirty oil and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, some of these industries have been in the forefront of digital transformation forever, right? Or digital transformation forever. And it's a lot of the other industries that maybe don't appreciate it as much, and that's why, like, I think our backgrounds collectively, we're there. We're actually looking at stuff where IoT matters, where AI is being applied in a way that's actually delivering value to whatever degree that it can. And we're also have that perspective of why it's so difficult for other conversations around digital, why they face so many challenges, because we're looking at the ground level stuff. That's where everything happens, and the more I think about it, it's like this whole freaking data thing is like ridiculous. I was in I was watching a supply chain panel, and they're talking about data, and all I can think about is like, dude, the data didn't do shit for anybody during the pandemic and the Russian war and everything else. All these disruptions, there was no data for it. There was no AI that could predict any of this stuff, it's just you just have to have visibility, and so that's the fundamental prerequisite, right, Rob? I mean, it's just have visibility and some smart people that can read the signals really fast, because people are friggin' badass intelligent.
It's so good, man. But it's so good because this week we've all been getting bombarded with pictures of quantum computing, and we're saved. We're saved because 47 years of computing in 5 minutes. So anyway, that's the future. That's the future this week.
When you talk about data or whatever predictive stuff or nothing helping us during COVID, I really encourage everybody to listen to Lex Friedman's podcast interview with Mark Andreessen. Man, that Mark Andreessen, I don't think people realize how freaking smart that guy is, and he does not hold back on his opinions about things. And so he talked about all the modeling, all the machine learning modeling, all the stuff during COVID. And he goes, yep, they were all wrong. In fact, it was worse than wrong. It was counterproductive. He goes, remember the beginning, they said, whatever the modeling that whatever London School of whoever economics or whatever had was the gold standard. He goes, yeah, we, over at Andreessen Horowitz, we sent all that code to one of our portfolio companies. It was just a bunch of spaghetti code crap. He goes, these people don't know what they're doing. You should listen to it, man. It is, it's crazy. We spent so much time talking about, there you go, modeling and everything like that. He talks about the so-called scientists. He thinks machine learning modeling really can't even be considered science at all. He's like, it's just probabilistic.
Yeah.
He goes, it's not deterministic. It's just probabilistic. And those are huge differences.
If we've been talking about it forever, dude.
I know. It was just like when we talk about ChatGPT. It's just ChatGPT and all that stuff. It's just probably, the most probable next word is this one. It doesn't mean it's right. It just means based on statistics of a whole lot of people liking things, this is probably what's next. But it doesn't mean it's smart.
But that's exactly why Sam Altman said 8 months ago what he said, and it still holds true. You know what's crazy is I come here and I get into the design materials and the advanced packaging conversations. Man, when we talk about Gen AI with engineers, guys who actually build the chips or design the chips and know what kind of constraints that the layers above are going to face. One of the things that comes out all the time are thermals and how inefficient large learning models are for doing things, and the tremendous amount of energy to generate one token. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Crypto.
Sounds like blockchain to me.
And so where does this all end? I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to have the same dynamic or challenge that crypto had, which is where do we find real economic value? How do we enable real currency? And a lot of the early opinings and thinkings about how revolutionary blockchain and crypto would be all ended up being false, right? Just way overdone. And I think Gen AI is going to have the same problem because, a lot of people are I get a lot of folks going, oh, dude, you haven't really tried it. And it's like, dude, you haven't looked at the technology from silicon all the way up. I don't know many people who have, and you don't see the whole picture. You have to understand the limitations of technology before you can have a clear view on what its actual potential is. And so, the thing is that to generate the next token, it takes a tremendous amount of energy, lots of memory bandwidth, and a lot of transfer of huge amounts of data from memory to processor in parallel. And the interconnects that you need to make this stuff happen efficiently is just mind-boggling. So at the end of the day, some of the innovations that happen on the silicon level are probably going to make other types of applications better, right? We'll be able to process and maybe, there'll be GPU 2.0 and somebody will usurp actually NVIDIA. They'll come up with an architecture better than anything NVIDIA has. That's the real risk, I think, for NVIDIA. But this innovation will drive something. But in terms of the killer application, large language models may not be it.
You know what?
That's something that no one's talking about. But you can only hear it on IoT Coffee Talk.
That's right. You were asking where you think it ends. I think I know where it ends. In fact, I think we can create the movie title right now: Digital Transformation Endgame.
Endgame?
You know what? Because obviously there's another view of this whole thing. The more digitally transformed you become, the more vulnerable you become to attack. It's just reality.
Yeah.
I mean, but are you truly suggesting that LLMs and generative AI, that the people that are advocates of it need to really do their research?
Oh,
are you serious? Yeah. I mean, I can't look. First off, I still cannot. And by the way, we need to bring up your post on that got like 975,000 different responses.
Oh my God.
And it ranges everywhere from those that are like you're bang on to those that are like you really haven't looked at it and it's useful over here, and I can't imagine my life without ChatGPT or without any of the generative AI that's there. And I will come back to the foundational question that we always ask: what problem are you really trying to solve? Yeah. Because don't tell me about a technology and then go say, well, I'm going to go find a problem for it to solve. Because again, that is the age-old issue that we've had with the introduction of transformational things that are going to happen in our technology world. Yeah. So I mean, people, do your research.
Yeah.
Take some time to read a book, listen to other people that have different perspectives, and then go and execute. Get your hands on it.
Yeah. And, and there's another question, dude. Does technology make things truly better? For whatever problem you're trying to solve. And, I've spoken to some creators who actually have integrated, Gen AI tools into their workflows. They don't describe it as transformative. They say that it does some very narrow things in their workflows really cool. It saves them a lot of time for that step. Is it going to change? Does it change their creativity, impact their creativity? No, it actually adds maybe a little bit of flexibility. But then also they tell me they spend a lot of time prompting the crap out of the stuff. In any original work, there is no prompt for that stuff. You have to discover it. So it's like every single time you're going to an infant and trying to teach an infant to come back with some sort of constructive output that you can use in your creative process. This is not something people have really thought through. When I listen to the sort of the Gen AI worshipers out there, they just talk about, oh wow, it's like a person. It's like, but incorporated into your workflow. And let's see, at the end of the day, does it actually help your productivity? Does it make things better? And is it really truly transformative, where the cost of generating that next token is worth the little convenience that you actually get out of using the tool, So there are going to be, I want to say there are some valuable applications, no doubt. The question is, how valuable are they? And will they allow large language models to be sustainable? Sustainability, we're going to start hearing about it in the next 2 months, is going to be the biggest topic around LLMs and Gen AI next to responsible AI.
I mean, I'll say this, right? My team is working on just beating it up. So this is not a comment that I'm making because I just don't like it. I'm looking at it from a technology perspective, and I'm literally. So I said, well, here's a problem that we have, and this goes back to your digital twin piece, right? Every single one, people that say we have a digital twin platform and it's plug and play, get the F out of here with that, because it is not true. Every single one needs some customization. Not all data is constructed in the same way. Not all data is created equal. Yeah. So the one thing that I've talked to my team about is, look, all right, we're going to go out and we're going to do this. Foundationally, there's an ingestion mechanism, there's a contextual mechanism, and things of that nature. So can we do this in 5 different areas using data from 5 different groups, and can we normalize it to the point that we have a template, and now I can go and give this to a developer that doesn't have to really, 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 truly understand how we manage the data and how we deal with the data? And can I get applications built faster? Is there an operational efficiency gain if I use the large language model to templatize some of the stuff that we're doing? That is what we're trying to do right now. And I'm saying, you know what? Let's look. Let's see, is it possible? And if it's not, we'll toss it and we'll continue doing what we've been doing.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Rob, I was talking to some clients yesterday, and we all decided that we are going to enter into the class action lawsuit against OpenAI, and let them try and prove to us that they didn't steal our shit.
Yeah.
Really? Are you serious? Good for you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
No. Hey, Steve, are you serious?
There are 2 clients I spoke to, and we were just saying, because we think they took stuff from our archives and from our clients' archives and things. And we're like going, well, then maybe we just join the class action lawsuit and let them prove to us that they didn't take it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
You started a revolution, Rob.
But you know what? We said this at the very beginning when that stuff
absolutely
came out, there was going to be an avalanche of lawsuits.
We did.
Because it's just scraping. It's just scraping any and everything it can get.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, the idea that they started out right off the bat, and this was my number 1 topic for today, because I knew eventually I'd get it in, but the idea of someone finally having the guts to be the first one, and who is it? It's entertainers.
Yeah.
Going with DRM and stuff like that, and saying, okay, well, there's got to be a thing that you took from us that is going to make more jokes or more whatever.
Right.
It's interesting that it started out on an entertainment side, not on what from a thing like what Bill's talking about with from a technical aspect of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As soon as you mess with Hollywood, it's over.
Well, I mean, but I mean, there's that whole gobbledygook of, look, if confiscation is 9/10 of possession, possession is 9/10 of the law. If I take it, it's mine.
I knew where you were headed with that one.
It must be hot in Texas.
I don't know why. That just reminds me when Eddie Murphy stole a house in
Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, yeah.
For the first one. Yeah. There you go. It says.
I'm just saying, that's what they're kind of hanging their hat on, right? I mean, when you say that, Steve, I mean, all jokes aside, I saw this in real life, probably, we'll say 5 years ago, and it was in Leonard's home state. I mean, home city. Where there was literally an issue with respect to how data was being dealt with. And this was a large company that had signed a deal with the city, and basically in the deal said, hey, the derivative data belongs to us.
Oh, yeah.
And if you want access to the raw data is yours, the derivative data is ours. And if you want that, you have to buy it back. I'm like, that's ransomware on one hand.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it substantiates the statement that I just made. Confiscation is 9/10 possession. Possession is 9/10 of the law. If I take it, it's mine. And they literally took it. And all they have to do is it's derivative. It's a derivative form of your raw. Your raw data doesn't have any meaning. Well, I can look at the two and say that they are equal. The only difference is that it's in your database or it's in your servers.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. How do those horses are out of the barn.
We always had that conversation around who owns the data, right? It's been something that we in the M2M IoT space have been talking about for 20 years.
I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and
not as long as me, damn it.
We have never. No, not as long as you. I read books on you as I was starting.
Well,
you're old.
I mean, but I mean, our position has always been that I don't want to own any of the data at all. Any of the applications, the solutions that we've built, even from the digital twin perspective, these are on behalf of the city or the it's on behalf. I will monitor and manage and maintain that data, but it's yours.
Yes. So one of the things, Bill, that if you recall, maybe 7 years ago, in Atlanta, there was a North Avenue corridor IoT smart community project.
Yep.
That I was involved in because I was sitting on the board of the IoT group for the Metro Chamber of Commerce. And the infighting between all of the participants on the ownership of the data and the ability to utilize that data in a smart community made them finally decide that, Georgia Tech should be the neutral party to own the data. You know how fast that project plummeted? No one wanted to deal with their licensing program. No one wanted to deal with their contracts. No one wanted to do it. Wow. And so no vendor wanted to participate, because anybody that wanted to participate in a smart corridor pilot projects wants to be able to suck that data out for its own purposes to grow their own businesses around smart communities. So but again, going back to who the hell owns the data. You may be able to solve the problem, but you may not use the data.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, well, it's not an easy problem to solve, but where the vendors get it wrong is they think that it's a data play because they've been indoctrinated to think that it is. And then number two, they're missing out on the opportunity of really selling value by positioning themselves as a services organization that provides not only systems integration, but consultative stuff, right? And that can be valuable. You have that blueprint, you go to market with it.
Yep.
And don't be so dependent on, going in at the lowest cost, undercutting everyone else because you're banking on capitalizing on someone else's data, which is like friggin' silly.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was a vendor, I'd go in, I'd put in a bid and say, here, yeah, I know I'm 5 times more expensive than anyone else, but if this is what legitimately it costs to bring the talent in, and we cost it out in terms of hours and what we need to be profitable and to get the reward for the return on the the investment we put in talent. This is what it's going to cost, and if they walk away, that's too bad for whatever organization, whether it's public or private, that wants a IoT solution, right? But how many salespeople are out there that can actually sell the solution?
Well,
that's the freaking problem.
That is.
And then how do you value that? What do you charge for that?
Yeah, but then that, yeah.
Rob, let's look at what really happens, right? I mean, so if you're dealing with any municipality, city, federal government, any of all of these things, so they're old school structured, right? They call this an equal ground, and it's always RFP based. So it's automatically a race to the bottom. It's not who has the best solution. It is a commodity race to the bottom, because we don't want vendor lock-in. We don't want to be held hostage. We don't. All of these things. So if you go in and you literally say, I have a time-tested, proven solution that will not lock you in, will not try to hold hostage your data, or will not do these other things, but will be interoperable, will solve your problems. It is, however, 5 times more expensive than what you got on the RFP. They don't know how to deal with that. And that portion of it needs to change.
Yeah, but hey, who writes the RFP and who sets the expectations in the buyer's mind? That's also the problem, because
sure, but you have those big boys out there that do all of that.
There's a consultant on the other side, a consulting firm on the other side that's setting the expectation, and if they set the wrong ones, then you get into this RFP hellhole, and you get the worst of the worst bidding and winning, and that leads to implementation failure, which is far worse than POC failure.
It is because you're paying for it, and it's production.
Yeah, and think about how much effort it takes to actually respond to these RFPs. I mean, man, when I used to do RFP work back in the day for large, like friggin' global transformation tech projects, dude, I mean, the RFP responses are like 100 pages long. You had an entire team working on the response, different sections. I mean, it was literally a project to respond to an RFP, No, that's another gating factor, dude.
It totally is. It totally is. I mean, there's cities, states, feds, change the process.
Yeah, and
change the process and make it open.
Setting the right expectations. Seriously, if you want to get anything done.
Yes. I mean, there's just so much of it that's not right. And it just frustrates me. I've done that, quite a bit. You sit in RFP defenses. I'm sure you've done those, where you got the consultant on the other side. And what pisses me off is you're sitting over here asking pre-baked questions that you couldn't answer your own damn self.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm over here trying to win business for the company that I'm, so I need to make sure that I have the proper response to your baked question that you don't even know the damn answer to.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
You know what? I think Bill's mad.
I'm not going to take it anymore.
I mean, for real. So this is the number one reason why when I do work with cities, and I'm upfront about it, I've said it a million times, I don't answer RFPs.
Neither do I. Yeah.
I don't answer RFPs because 9 times out of 10, by the time I've seen an RFP, you've already had it written for somebody else.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Especially if it's services, not on the hardware side as much, but on the services for sure.
On the services for sure, but even on the hardware, if there's certain functionality that will differentiate or segregate a company from another company, please believe that they're doing that. Please believe that.
So let's just come out and say what it is, and just, RFPs are a scam. RFPs are cronyism.
It's trickery.
Yeah. and you're right.
Yeah.
A large consulting firm or SI could have an army of people that a factory of RFP answerers, and a small company doesn't have a chance.
Yeah.
Some of these things are crazy.
Well, they're just like, if you want, it's open, respond, compete. Oh, really? So that you can tick the box and go, well, this group came in and this group came in. See, we were open, but we selected that one. Get out, man.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right. But that's what's so cool about it. Yeah.
That's different. I mean, that is like, here's all the specs on the board. Here's the dev kit information. Here you go. Handle all these. And we purposely did not send the RFP to the main holder of the chipset. Purposely did not.
Yeah.
So we avoided that kind of conversation. Well, I'm the chipset guy. I know what I've got to do, and I know how to build a dev kit. No, just provide the chipset to these 10 people that are on the RFP list, and we'll go from there.
Well, you know what, man? I'm glad you brought that up, Steve, because, it's interesting. When I talk to the guys here that are selling literally like friggin' casters for shit that goes underneath like equipment in a fab. I mean, literally I'm not belittling them because their casters are like friggin' amazing, because anything that goes in a fab is like the highest quality you can ever imagine, because, keep in mind, you cannot have vibration in a fab. The metrology, the precision it's like nano. I mean, it's like at a molecular level, right? I mean, vibrations can cause yield issues, right? Anywhere in the process. And so, but these guys that are down at this level, that are selling the bits and pieces that go into something else, don't really have a good idea of what's happening above. In fact, when you tell them, it kind of shocks them. And they also, it's like we brought up before on the show, is they have an identity crisis of how they actually fit in the solution and where the solution ends and starts and ends. And really, the solution is about, like what you're saying, Bill, solving a problem. And the people who are going to fund the solving of that problem, well, guess what? That's where the money's at. And so they have real trouble mapping their way up the value chain to the actual outcome. And it's a trip, man. I'm telling you. and these guys are like freaking badass engineers, I mean, the stuff that there's no way that I can even remotely claim that I have their experience. I don't. And the level of expertise that they have in what they do, right? But what I really love is having these conversations with these guys and they appreciating what I'm doing, right? Connecting the dots and being able to see layers above them. But that is that visibility issue that, I think we have in IoT and a lot of other areas where there's a bunch of, layers where people are their perception of what's happening above them is being clouded by hype and a bunch of nonsense. And man, what are we about on IoT Coffee Talk? And we're trying to help clarify things so that people can see things clearer. And it's not just technology, but everything we're talking about is RFP process. This is all the business aspect of it, right? And we're tying all that stuff together. And so, I love you guys.
So
I love you guys. I love you guys.
So Leonard, a couple of things. I looked at the exhibitor list really quick. So obviously dominated by Asia. From that standpoint, have you seen any or heard anything China versus the rest of the Asian markets for fab?
Yeah, of course, man. This is like
that was a pretty damn good easy. That was a softball question here on IoT.
Oh my God. Yeah. No. You're hearing a lot. But then there's also a lot of stuff that I'm hearing that makes me go, wow, man, did you guys do your homework? And the interdependency on Asia, it's not just about China. I mean, this whole thing is about Asia.
I mean, the Vietnamese that got Korea's got a pavilion. It's all over the place.
Yeah. Well, the real thing is it's become a East versus West thing. Because think about it. Most of the electronic supply chain, forget about just focusing on just the semiconductor. Most electronics go through, and most of it is either manufactured or assembled and even engineered in Asia. And so China, obviously a big part of the story from a geopolitical perspective, but from a geoeconomic standpoint, the concern is, Asia is dominating, but what they discount design, which is much more valuable in terms of the outcome with the fabless guys like NVIDIA and AMD and other. That's where the vast majority of the value of the semiconductor industry is expressed. Now, albeit TSMC is a very, very valuable company, right? NVIDIA, in terms of valuation, is very, very lofty company at the moment. But the thing that I hope the industry doesn't forget is that we lead. The United States leads in that, and we shouldn't do anything to screw that up. Just by focusing so much on this electronics supply chain, which has been built out with a lot of the gravity pulling toward Asia for decades. And to undo that, you have to do that super thoughtfully. But the key thing that I don't hear a lot here, competition. How do we solve the problem by being competitive? And when you ask that question, everything becomes a hell of a lot more difficult to talk about. Because everyone right now is trying to, do the sanctions, and the Chinese are trying to constrain gallium and germanium, right? Small part of the, resources for the, the industry, but very important, extremely important, actually. Just all these like tit for tat things that are going to create a lot of disruptions and risks for leaders, right? So obviously a risk for China, Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea on the fab front, but on the leading edge, it could put a lot of our design guys at risk too. So I have concerns.
I also saw that the state of New York Economic Development Group has got a big booth based on all the tax abatements and programs that they've given Global Foundries and everybody else for New York State manufacturing a fab.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? These guys are they're gonna knock it out of the park for years, because they're building out so many fabs, so much investment going into fab build outs. But the question is, who are they going to sell this stuff to? Because they're all banking on $1 trillion in revenue by 2030. And, I posted semi-jokingly, it's like, well, if we achieve that through inflation, that doesn't really mean, we need to talk about constant currency here, right? And I have my doubts. In fact, I'll say that the more I talk to people here, I have doubts that 1 trillion is going to happen.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. If you drill down into the assumptions, how people are thinking about that number, you realize, wow.
That's 50 billion IoT devices.
I'm sorry, guys. I mean, it's like I'm doing my homework, man. One thing that people can't accuse me of, I'm here.
That's here. Right.
I'm doing homework.
Stand up, be proud, yell it.
Yeah, you want to talk shit? Come over here. Let me show you.
There you go.
And that's part of it, though, Leonard. I mean, you're right. The education factor and also the dose of reality. I'm still amazed at some of these companies, like you said, not looking at above the issues that have to get addressed in order to have a successful ecosystem, right? I mean, they are not looking at it from a business solvability issue. Is he pointing his finger at me, Rob? Is that what I'm getting?
I think he's either agreeing with you or scolding you.
I'm spanking you because you're so right.
Oh, yeah. You got your little spank for the day.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can get through the day now.
You can go to the refrigerator and kind of do the mark on them.
I can wear my metal.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at the semiconductor industry and everything that's going on, I'm going to bring Bill's problem solving scenario on. Building it, thinking they will come, and it may solve a problem, ain't a really good business strategy.
Not so much.
Yeah.
Not so much. That's what we all did in the .com era.
Correct.
Build an e-commerce site selling something, dog stuff, and they will come.
Yeah.
And they just magically show up.
Yes. Yes. Rob, you know what our problem was back then? We never made it like an IoT Prime Day. If we did an IoT Day marketing program around it, we would have sold a shitload of that stuff.
There you go. Well, I'm assuming when your marketplace is online that you will have a yearly Prime Day.
See, there's no self-promoting today, except for basketball.
I can see where that's headed. I can see where that's going for sure.
That's a charitable organization.
That's right. That's right.
A good cause.
I also highly encourage everyone. Yesterday, my wife and I, we went to see the new Mission Impossible movie in IMAX, and it is unbelievable. It is incredible. And it plays into kind of what I said earlier, digital transformation end game. So I don't want to do any spoilers, but when you watch the movie, you'll go, I can see where some of this could head.
Really?
Yeah. Sometimes it's more important to pull out those tube amps and put the needle on the record, get the typewriters going, get those file cabinets that can't be hacked.
Read a real book.
Build a real book made of paper. Yeah.
Talk about tubes. It's interesting you bring that up. So, I'm doing this deal with Scripps on this ATSC 3.0 program on the frequencies. And so I was at a TV station in Kansas City, and they still use massive tubes for broadcasting TV signals at $35,000 a piece.
Wow.
Really?
Going, where's RCA when you need them, man? Like, who's going to bring back the old tube days? Like,
I mean, that's you got some of the highest tech in terms of, I mean, when you say that, when you talk about, cancer treatment and things of that nature, right? these things, these components that they have, they still have dequeuing thyrotrons.
Right.
They still have main thyrotrons. They still have klystrons. These are amazingly old, but extremely necessary. And you don't just swap these out and go, we're going to do it small and digital. No, there's a reason for these things.
That's when that gray-haired dude comes in with the big toolkit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, people still use tube amps, man. Guitar.
Absolutely.
Ask any guitar player. Ask me. I prefer tube any day of the week, and it feels way different. You cannot emulate that digitally. I don't care what anyone says. You can make it kind of sound similar, but yeah, it'll never feel the same. And you know what? Music is all about feeling. If you don't feel it, you don't make it. You know what I'm saying? Meaning you don't tune into that creative potential. Yeah. So yeah, man, tubes rock. And unfortunately, I think they're only made in the Soviet Union, because I think the last company is called Sovtek, which all the guitar players knew about, because that's where you had to get your replacement tubes. And Groove Tube, which was an American brand, was they were basically white labeling Sovtek tubes. Wow.
Hey, Leonard, any energy harvesting being discussed over there?
Hell no. They're so far away from that, and the fabs consume so much energy. You have to do something much bigger than energy harvesting. I mean, but they're on the leading edge. I mean, these guys are thinking. I mean, today is all about sustainability, and they're employing. So look, if you want to make money in IoT, come here. But here's the thing you'll realize. IoT has existed for a long time, and there are already people making money. So if you're putting out a forecast saying that IoT is going to be a gajillion-dollar market opportunity in the next gajillion years, don't double count this stuff, because it's already happening. These guys have been doing insane sensing, telemetry, blah, 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 everything that you can imagine at the highest level, and making bank. Because none of these companies here are selling any of their stuff for like pennies. The data that they generate and manage, and insights and visibility that they gain for their customers is worth it's worth millions, right? If you don't have that visibility, if something gets screwed up. And
is that why AWS there because of the data?
Yeah, and then they're also here for compute, because maybe a lot of folks. I mean, here's the irony about the semiconductor industry: when you're manufacturing, especially on the design side, you need massive amounts of compute, and so these guys forever have been using custom platforms. And by the way, they kind of know about GPUs. They kind of know about their potential. But I spoke to a couple of companies, actually Cadence, all of them, actually the big key EDA companies. They use custom silicon, man. They have custom stuff. They don't use GPUs. This stuff is so intensive and massive. In terms of compute requirements and loads and processing times that they need to achieve, entirely purpose-built servers. But AWS is here, Google Cloud is here for a little, but they're just taking on like less critical loads in the workflow. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Things that are less compute intensive, but a lot of them are trying to graduate things. They're trying to leverage the distributed cloud computing as much as possible, but it's not as easy of a sell. I mean, we saw it at PTC. Those guys are trying to get everybody on SaaS, but engineering tools. I mean, they're insane. I don't think people appreciate how much compute and capability is required and capacity is required for these applications. And it's not that easy to have them run in the cloud. And you have to go custom. A lot of these are, like I said, they're not running on NVIDIA GPUs. They have custom ASICs that they're using. And
let me ask you a question I think I know the answer to. Is Apple there?
No.
No, of course not.
If they are, they're hidden. They have like
remember we talked about, obviously we've talked about how their adventures in silicon with their ARM-based license, is just way up. Remember we talked about Apple silicon clouds and stuff like that, because their processors are so much faster and more power efficient than anybody else's. And yet we never see them at something like this. We never see them at Mobile World Congress. They don't show up at anything. They just dominate.
Right. They're above us. They're above us, Rob.
Yeah. Kind of like in the John Wick world. They're on above the high table. Yeah.
I think their company is called Blue Harvest. Do you know that? Do you guys know that one? Blue Harvest was the name that they gave Return of the Jedi, so that nobody knew, like wherever they were in the UK, people didn't know that they were filming the Star Wars movie. So they named the movie
Blue Harvest.
The distraction or the decoy, Blue Harvest. So I think all the Apple guys are walking around with little, hi, I'm with Blue Harvest or some other Lucasfilm thing.
I've got a drop for my next call.
Yeah, great discussion, guys.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're there on site talking about all the semiconductor stuff. Nothing else works without that.
Yeah,
that's right. And next,
why we have
one of the next ones, we have to come back to the conversation of 5G. And I want to give a shout out to the Open Mobile Alliance and what they're doing to bring lightweight M2M to the world and do the right thing.
Wow, lots of love.
All right,
guys.
Let's do it.
Adios.
Oh my God.
All right.
Crazy. All right. Hey, so to our IoT Coffee Talk listeners, thanks for tuning in. Rob's got a jam. But remember to follow us at iotcoffeetalk.com. Remember, be charitable. It's better. And then also buy our shirt, because it'll make you feel good and you will look good. And we will see you next week. Take care, guys.
Have fun, Leonard.
I will.